Moving on to Class 4A Division One, Denton Guyer plays Amarillo. Denton Guyer was tested a little bit right, before halftime. They're up, I think, 6 points on Waco, and coming out of halftime, they get a big return, and then after that, they just said, "Look, we're going to run the football." And we talked about this a little bit before we went on camera today. If you stop Hurd, then they're going to run Breedlove. If you stop Breedlove, they're going to run Taylor. They can load up and run the football, and that defense is outstanding. I don't think Amarillo can do anything to slow this train down.
No, and they're playing in Lubbock, and so even if it's windy and you can't pass, they're really a running team anyway.
Right.
Like you said, I think they're at a little bit of a phase, and I think they do a great job coaching against it. But I mean, this is a long season. I mean, they played 16 games last year. They're in week 13 of this year. Then they got week 14 against Birdville, the Birdville winner next week. And then the game after that, the state semifinal, might be Sauk, Highland Park. I think the kids kind of get really jazzed for that. I think they're just sort of marching through right now, which is a little bit dangerous because in some of these games, if they're real close at the end, then all of a sudden the onside kick and the halfback pass on fourth down is the winning point. I don't think that'll happen to Guyer, but that's their biggest problem right now. I think getting over these next 2 weeks, then the semifinal and the state final, they'll get jazzed up again.
I agree, and their defense, you just cannot run the football on them. They force you to throw it. I think that puts teams in a precarious position. The winner of that game will meet Wofford Friendship in Birdville, and Friendship scores, David, almost 50 points a game. So you want to keep that offense off the field. Well, if you're Birdville, you can say, look, we've got Xavier Turner who's run for almost 2,800 yards. We can do that. And so I think this is a pretty intriguing matchup here.
Yeah, it's a good matchup. And if you haven't seen Xavier Turner, he's the real deal. He's a big-time player. I think some colleges are waiting on some test scores, but if they come in over the mark, he's going to be a major college player. I mean, 40-something touchdowns in 5A is 40-something touchdowns in 5A. That's pretty or 4A. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. The Region 2 semifinals, Sauk and Wiley. I was there to see Sauk last week, and they put on quite a show. They're so explosive. They can throw it. They can run it. Defense, a little shaky to me. Wiley, I don't see Wiley putting up much of a fight, and they've hung in there all year, and they're 8-4. But like we talked about last week, they've just been a little inconsistent. The three teams that were the highest scoring teams that Wiley played all year, they played Saxe, Poteet, and Denison, and those three schools averaged 48 points a game. And now they're going to play Sauk. And I think Sauk, you could say, is as explosive or more explosive than those three. So I look for Sauk to really to roll in this one.
Yeah, I would agree. It'll be difficult for Wiley to hang. I mean, Sauk, explosive-wise, to me, is very similar to Poteet. Mm-hmm. They might, fumble a little bit more, or drop a pass, but their defense can probably score. They're not a stuff 'em defense, but they can break on some passes, make some interceptions. Wiley's going to have to really hope it's close late for a chance to win.
Absolutely. Highland Park and Mansfield Legacy, the other game in the Region 2 semifinals. And, we talked about it last week. Highland Park gets blown out by Aledo in game one, but their offensive line started to come together as a young group. They started to gel. Brooks Bergen really started to figure it out and is playing exceptional right now. Their defense is creating a lot of turnovers. Legacy, they lost their quarterback this week, and they've had a great season, but I think Highland Park's playing way too well right now, and I think they beat Legacy.
Yeah, Highland Park is playing well, and they're even having some young play. I mean, Bergen's a young player, but now he's got experience. Cole Feigel's been playing really well. Yes. Their defense has been Boomer Bakich and Robert Minke, who I think Minke signed with Harvard to play lacrosse. So he's a talented athlete. There's a young guy. I think it's Hayden Black. His last name is
the running back.
Yeah, the running back. He's got a little something. He's kind of small, but he's kind of Preston Miller-ish. If you keep up with this, can make big plays. So I think Highland Park's got on a roll. I don't think they're going to go much farther than this, but they're doing pretty well right now.
They sure are.